My husband brought home a fake daughter. She's an imposter wearing my daughter's identity. Greetings and welcome back to your daily dose of scary stories from r/nosleep. Today, we've got a double dose for you, 2 stories in 1 video. Relax with your favorite drink as this is about to get so spooky, it will send chills up your spine. Before we start, if you have some scary personal experiences that you want to share, feel free to email them to me. Let's get started. First story. This is not my child. That was all I could think. Honey? Said my husband. Is everything all right? Who is this? I said, staring at the little girl I'd never seen before, standing in my house, dressed in my daughter's clothes. Where is Liza? My husband gave me a worried look, and the girl who was not Liza looked positively terrified. What do you mean? Said my husband. Are you feeling all right? Why was he evading my question? Why couldn't he just answer? I took a deep breath, tried to remain calm. I'll be all right, I said, as soon as you tell me where my daughter is. My husband frowned, and the little girl's eyes welled up with moisture. My husband placed a protective hand over her shoulder and leaned down to whisper in her ear. Go on upstairs, honey, he said. Mommy's not feeling well. The girl wasted no time in doing what he said. She clutched her school books to her chest and barreled past me, rushing up the stairs. I heard the door of my daughter's room slam. The look on my husband's face was a mix of pity and restrained anger. You haven't been taking your medication, he said. Don't try to deny it, I can see it in your eyes. I waved my hand in a dismissive gesture. I don't need them, I said. They make my mind all fuzzy. The anger on my husband's face became less restrained. Well-etched frown lines beneath his lips deepened. Do you remember what happened the last time you said that? He asked. The suggestion was enough. A swarm of shattered and confused images flooded my mind, like the wave of nausea that comes before vomit. My husband screaming, covered in blood. Look what you made me do. He was shrieking. Look what you made me do. I felt the floor tilt beneath me, and before I knew what had happened, I found myself falling backwards into my husband's arms. Hot tears were streaming down my cheeks, and my body convulsed with violent sobs. My husband gently brushed my hair and whispered in my ear. Shaykud. It's not real, honey. I promise that it's not real. I silently nodded my assent. I let him carry me up to our bedroom and lay me gently down on the bed. He walked over to the dresser where he kept the cocktail of drugs that I took every day to maintain my sanity. I swallowed them gratefully. Soon my mind was going fuzzy. I could feel myself becoming a pliable zombie that could be told anything, made to do anything. Of course, I knew that it was wrong, that girl was not Liza. I knew that it wasn't me who had been driven insane by our daughter's death, but my husband. I knew he had kidnapped that girl when she was a toddler and brainwashed her into believing she was Liza. But, most importantly, I knew that if I didn't take my pills, if I shattered his precariously built illusion, that he would kill the girl and start all over again. Just like he did the last time. Second story. I want you to kill her, the voice echoed. Low, monotonic, unwavering. In front of me was my mother, crucified haphazardly upon a ramshackle wooden cross. Rivets were driven through each palm, with rope fastenings in place around her ankles and shoulders to keep her in position. Her eyes, red and cracked from exposure, were pulled open by tape to reveal pupils dilated with fear. Her mouth was sewn shut, muffling her tired pleas. This is hardly in existence, the voice licked. I surveyed my surroundings. I was in a small, square room, with metal walls no larger than my studio apartment. The roof, however, was missing, replaced by an empty void that seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness above. About 5 feet in front of me was my mother, writhing weakly against her restraints. 5 feet behind her, an impossibly tall ladder stretching into the abyss. What are you waiting for? As if you care, the voice prompted. Who was talking? Where was this voice coming from? Its warm presence swaddled me like a warm blanket. In one swift surge, the gravity of the situation dawned on me. I didn't know where I was. I didn't like being lost. I felt the kick of adrenaline into my bloodstream. My heart, beating against my ribcage. My hands, clammy. I clenched them repeatedly. Open, closed. Open, closed. I needed to get out of here. Enter. My gaze dashed to my right-hand side to find a surgical stand stocked full of pain-inflicting paraphernalia. A knife. A rope. A pistol. Razor blades, full needles, strange pills, and powder. An arsenal fit to maim, disfigure, destroy. I reached for the razor blade. I could cut the stitching on my mother's mouth, garner some insight into what the fuck was going on. My mother always knew what was going on. With the razor blade in hand, I walked gingerly up to my mother, whose eyes lit up as I approached. And through all the pain, tears, and stitches, as I drew closer, she smiled. I held up my left hand to coddle my mother's face, with the razor blade still pinched in my right. And as she nuzzled her face into my palm, I cracked. I wept harder than I'd ever wept before. Full-bodied, racking sobs crashed over me. Because it didn't matter how bad anything got. It didn't matter how broken the situation, or how broken the person was. My mother was just happy I was there. I steadied myself and lifted my right hand, trembling as I drew closer to her face, ready to pick away at the stitches to the best of my ability. The first few snapped, then the next, until all the stitches had been split and I had liberated her mouth from its cage. I exhaled raggedly, leaning back to look deeply into my mother's eyes. "And Mom?" But as tears fell down her cheeks, through her warm, loving smile, she uttered one word. "Climb." I peered past her towards the ladder, then looked back towards her for reassurance. It took a slow, simple nod to realize that this was what I had to do. And as I walked slowly towards the ladder, she murmured one last thing. "I love you." "I love you too, Mom." I never said that enough. Then, with a razor blade still in hand, I climbed. I climbed with determination. I climbed for what seemed like hours. I climbed past broken rungs, and even when I was tired, I kept on climbing. I cried as I climbed, but I pushed through, with snot dribbling down my chin and tears clouding my vision. I reminisced as I climbed. I climbed through good memories, I climbed through bad memories. I climbed through the time when I had the flu and my mother came around to do my laundry, and I climbed through the time my girlfriend cheated on me. I climbed because I was sick of this dark room. I climbed to make my mother proud. And as I climbed, the darkness subsided, opening itself up to the light. I could see where the ladder ended now. I could see my way out. As I placed my hand on the last rung of the ladder and pulled myself up over the edge, I was overcome by brightness. The light subsided, and as I got my bearings, I found myself on my back in my bathtub, still clutching the razor blade. Urgent knocking on my bathroom door roused me from my daze. "Are you all right in there? Your sister called. We're worried about you." It was my mother's voice. I got up out of the bathtub, and placed the razor blade back on the shelf, walking towards the door. And as I flung it open, she looked at me. She looked at me and she knew. She held me in her arms and we sobbed. "I wouldn't know how to live without you," she whimpered. My climb had just begun. I hope you enjoyed listening to these stories. Don't forget to hit the like button. What do you think about these stories? What did you feel while listening to these? Let us know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss an upload.